Yo YouTube, I am your host, Lawless. Alright, today I'm trying to bring a video to y'all about the Fourth Amendment. Just give a general overview. We may do later videos regarding the Fourth Amendment as well. But we'll see how it goes. But first, we're going to start with the actual language of the Fourth Amendment. So, it reads, "The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized." Well, from reading that, well, you might notice that there's two kind of major components. One, that searches and seizures cannot be unreasonable, and warrants shall be issued upon probable cause. It really gets to the protection of the Fourth Amendment. Well, we know U.S. citizens get that protection. Legal residents also get the protection of the Fourth Amendment, and it's a little iffy, but undocumented persons with sufficient ties to the national community actually may be afforded the Fourth Amendment. Outside of the U.S., U.S. citizens will have the Fourth Amendment to protect them from the government, U.S. Surveillance and searching and seizing. If it's a foreign entity, no one's really protected. If you're a legal resident outside the U.S. and it's the U.S. surveilling, it's arguable. You might have to show sufficient ties to the national community, but it's possible, just not guaranteed. Now, the Fourth Amendment does govern conduct by the state, state actors, those acting on behalf of the state, like a phone company, confidential informants. Those are people acting on behalf of the state. And yeah, the Fourth Amendment is also incorporated to the states through the 14th Amendment. So, no fear, it's not just the federal government that abides by the Fourth. Each state has to abide by it as incorporated under the 14th Amendment. If someone feels that their Fourth Amendment right was violated, they can bring that up. But it's the one that was injured by the violation who may file suit. Not your mama, not your auntie, not your cousins, so they weren't affected. Well, I won't say they weren't affected, but they weren't the ones that were violated, so put them off to the side for now. Yeah, so searches are, we said we presume to be unreasonable unless issued by a valid warrant, and that warrant needs probable cause. But what exactly is a search? It's a little iffy, but it's usually when a state actor utilizes some kind of investigative conduct that implicates the Fourth Amendment. Okay. For a seizure, that's usually just when the government takes control of a person or property. For property, let's see, the rule is kind of means like there needs to be a meaningful interference with your possessory interest. So the state meaningfully interferes with your possessory interest. How would you describe that? It would be like if you're driving, you get pulled over, that cop has seized you because having to pull over is a meaningful interference, and you're right. Well, to the it's a little tricky actually, because that actually might be more of a person. So there's a vehicle exception there, which is gonna be see. This is why you gotta have a whole video be different. But alright, just know meaningful interference with a possessory interest. So, if you're walking around with like open carry with a gun, and the cop comes and takes that from you, they've meaningfully interfered with that possessory interest. You don't have a legitimate interest in contraband, so there's not really an argument there. If it's illegal to own, you have no possessory interest in that. But yeah. Oh, and seizing of an item without a warrant, typically it needs to be immediately apparent to be contraband or evidence of a crime, or I don't know what they call it, a fruit or instrumentality of a crime. But yeah, seizure for a person, a little bit different. That you use a reasonable person standard. So really it's just like, would a reasonable person in this situation feel that they were able to terminate the interaction? If you're not able to terminate the interaction, then more likely than not you're seized. Okay. Well, so we'll go back to what a search is, though, because I know more people probably find that interesting. So remember we said search was like that investigative conduct that the state is using. There's times in which that conduct isn't really considered to be part of the Fourth Amendment. One of those things is like considered a binary surveillance. So binary surveillance is not considered a search because it only states if something is illegal, or is it states like if something is illegal is occurring, or if you have possession of something illegal, but it doesn't really describe in detail like anything legal that is occurring or possessed, Additionally, we'll have a thing, well, actually on binary surveillance, you'll think of a dog sniff. So, times you have the police officers, they'll have a dog walk around, and the dog will sniff to smell if there's like contraband. Again, you don't have possessory interest in something that's illegal, so and then the court will justify that dog sniff as only detecting that there was something illegal occurring. It doesn't really give them detail into anything legally that is occurring. Yeah, so that's kind of how the court is parsing the rule, I guess. And then there's content information versus like address information. Content information will be like if I wrote a letter, hey there Delilah, what's it like in New York City? Kind of the letter, boom, put it in the envelope, and then I mail it off to her. The address information is what's written on that envelope, the name, the mailing address. So the post office, they would be able to read that and see it without really calling it a search, Similar with phone calls, there's like your phone record, like who you called, or a PIN register. I believe that's a court case about this in general, that it's considered address information. So back in the olden days, they used to have operators on the line. So you would like call, an operator would have to patch you in to whoever it is that you wanted to call, and you have to give them certain information, like who it is, the number or the location. That's what they're considering address information. But like what's actually being said on the phone call, that would be the content information, similar to that letter to Delilah, right? So, but that's in general the way the Fourth Amendment searches and seizures are, I guess, going about within the U.S. There's a plethora of exceptions to the rules, mainly what they call spaces. You know, spaces includes search incidents to a lawful arrest, plain view, the automobile exception, consent, exigent circumstances, and special circumstances. But maybe I'll cover that all cover that in different videos in the future. But before we do sign out, I will stop and take a quick little case brief, I guess we'll call it, or not even a case brief, but just a quick synopsis of a case. And Cats v. United States, United States v. Cats, something like that, in which essentially the government was watching this guy Cats. They wanted to try to get him for like illegal gambling. So there was like this phone booth that it used. The government put a listening device on the outside of the phone booth to try to listen inside the phone booth about like the conversations that were being had, him doing whatever he needed to do, like bookie related stuff. But yeah, in general, the electronic device it was deemed that listening device was deemed unconstitutional, because the state said, or the court said that there's a reasonable expectation of privacy, and that reasonable expectation has actually two components. One is subjective and the other is objective. So subjectively, it's like, did I believe that I had a expectation of privacy? Then objectively is like, would the rest of the community believe that there was an expectation of privacy there? So that's really the short, happy, quick version of that case. So when you're going out and about with your day, think about, do I have expectation of privacy, or would other people believe that I have an expectation of privacy? And kind of live your life a little bit more according to that. There's still plenty of exceptions, but I won't get into all of that. Gets my head racing already. But thank you for watching this video. Again, your boy Lawless. Hope y'all have a good day. Have a blessed day. Like, comment, subscribe, or just do you. Peace.